Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Middays. As Amy Fadul joins us today. How are you today, Aim?
I'm great. Happy 3rd of July.
Happy 3rd of July. A lot of start to the weekend for a lot of people. Maybe today, certainly tomorrow. Hope you're having a great day. Beautiful out there. I just had to run out to my car. I had to do a sprint because I left my headset in my car, and man, they are warm.
Yeah.
I put them on. I feel Tom Alvord is sitting in today for a vacationing, Ray Dunn. Yeah, Tom, how you doing, buddy?
What's going on, guys? I feel like I've been here a lot of vacations going on.
It's always good to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good to see you guys.
Especially Ray. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
It's a nice life.
I don't think he has another trip coming until next week, so I think we're good. So hopefully.
That's good to know.
Yeah, Amy, Ray, and I were in a group text, and Ray, we kept doing where are you, Ray?
Yeah, he's giving us the updates.
Yeah, so he was showed us. He was in line. And he got there in, like, the bottom of the first, maybe the second?
I was going to say the second. I think.
Okay.
I think that Trey Turner's first home run went really close to him.
Yeah, he sent us a picture, yeah.
I think
and then the second one didn't go close to anybody because it was out of the ballpark. Yeah, so we got a lot on the table today that we will share with you. I want to thank all you listeners for yesterday because Amy and I were talking about how much fun we had and, putting just something out there. Honest to God, it was, I don't know, a minute or two before the show, and I said, I want to try something. It just popped into my head, and we had so much fun with the first names yesterday.
Well, the winners were, and I think Tom asked me, and I forgot to tell him, Andrew Toney.
Great one.
And Pete Rose.
Rose?
Yeah, how about that? Rose.
Yeah, okay, I guess so.
You remember the bitch from Titanic?
I mean, it's her first.
Yes.
It's a first name.
It is a first name.
Of course, you think of Rose from Titanic. I think of Rose Nyland from the Golden Girls.
I had an aunt whose first name was Rose.
I think it's a name that's like come back quite a bit.
Yeah,
kind of those old school type of names.
That was old school.
Yeah,
it was my aunt.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think. Like some people are naming their child Rose now. It's a popular name.
It is. It's a beautiful name.
I feel like Tom doesn't like Pete Rose as my choice.
No, it's fine.
Wow.
It's good.
God, when does Ray get back?
What about this one? Daryl Morey. And we were like, Morey, and then he said Maury Povich.
Spelled differently.
Well, yeah, Andrew Toney is spelled differently.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's just, and like Jason Kelsey.
The first thing that went in my head was Ryan Howard.
Well, yes.
I feel like that just like the simple spelling, but I guess you're right. Yeah, different, more unique names, different spellings.
Like Jason Kelsey, like Kelsey spelled.
That's not bad.
Yeah, see?
Look at us rehashing the show from yesterday.
Sorry about that. Tom didn't get to hear it, so.
But, yeah, we had a lot of great ones, and we thank you for it because we did. We had an awful lot of fun doing it. It's the summertime. That's what we do. You have to have some fun when there's not a whole lot going on sports-wise. But what there is, we cover on the front page.
Now, the front page. The stories everyone's talking about. 97.5, The Fanatic.
All right, your Philadelphia Phillies. Well, they improved to 56-29 with their 6-4 win over the Cubs last night in Wrigley Field. I just love watching a game in Wrigley.
So great.
I really do. Michael Mercado, he makes his starting debut in the major leagues. Great one. 5 innings pitch, exactly what you needed. 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, threw 78 pitches. They slotted him between 80 and 90. He got 78. Perfect. You bring in a bullpen of Soto, Kirker, Marte, and Hoffman. Yes, I'm leaving Ruiz out of it. But those 4 went 4 perfect innings. Ruiz, of course, came in the 9th, gave up single home run. They got his ass out of there, and Hoffman finishes it up for his save. Trey Turner, he goes 3 for 5 with 4 RBI, 2 home runs, one of them out of the ballpark. I mean, it was weird. We're watching it last night, and I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday about something I'm going to bring up later on today, most important Philly going forward, whatever. He came up, and I said, all right, come on, hit one here. And I was kidding around. I'm like, bop! And I did it right along with the first home run because it was a first pitch fastball. And my wife was like, oh, God. Like she hates, not that she hates what I'm right, but it was like, yeah, we got to call that one. So good beginning of the night for Trey Turner on a great night. Listen to this, 13 games since he's been back. The Phillies are 9-4 in those 13 games. He's 19 for 58. That's a .328 average since he's come back. 11 runs scored. We're talking 13 games. 11 runs scored. That's what you want out of your 2-hole hitter. 4 doubles, 3 home runs, 9 RBI. When a guy comes back, even though he's a really good veteran, after missing so much time, you think he's only going to get better and better as time goes on. So just something really good to see what's happening with Trey Turner. Bryson Stott last night, 2 for 5. So we're talking 1 and 2 hitters, 2 for 5, 2 runs scored. This is a very, very small little snippet. Now, last night, Stott started off, and he popped up, I think, to shorter third. Then he popped up to the catcher, and it was like, oh, come on, man, I need to get you. You need to get going. Like, don't look bad in your at-bats. And then he gets a couple of hits moving forward. Small little snippet, he's 5 for his last 13. So, okay, come on, let's go. On the other side of it, David Dahl, 0 for 4, 4 strikeouts.
It's a rough one for Dahl.
It is. And, when you're talking about him and Whit Merrifield, it's, and Christian Pache, like, that outfield bat seems like it might be more and more needed. Alec Boehm, he looked lost at the plate last night. I don't know what was going on.
That's unusual.
It was.
To look that bad.
I mean, now you had a couple of Cubs pitchers that had some nasty stuff. The stuff that were really moving. Phillies did a great job on capitalizing on mistakes, but they had some nasty stuff going on, and Alec Boehm just seemed absolutely lost last night. So I started thinking, I wonder if they'll get the off day today, but they're going against a left-hander, so he probably won't. 11 more strikeouts by the Phillies. Let me see if these numbers pop at you at all. I was going to put it up as like a trivia question to the two of you, but I decided not to. 11, 7, 10, 8, 6, 10, 8, 17. Those are the strikeouts the Phillies have had in each of the last 8 games. It's a lot of strikeouts. It's 77 over 8 games. It's almost 10 strikeouts a game. Of your 27 outs, 10 of them are being strikeouts.
It's aggressiveness.
Okay. I was asking more than making a statement.
I'd like to see how some of them, swinging versus looking. I imagine most of them are swinging.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think there's.
What the record in those games is.
I don't know, Aim. Now you're asking too much out of me. My God, I just had some conversation and you try to turn it into
I just wanted to
an
know.
album over here. Jeez. The Braves, they lost last night 5-3 to the Giants. So the Phillies are up 9 games right now. Up 9. Tonight, 8 o'clock game, you got Zach Wheeler going against Shohei Imanaga.
Imanaga, yes.
Yeah, I got you. Way to go, Tom. See, you had my back yesterday.
I'm just here for your... Yeah.
I looked at Ray yesterday, and I got a blank,
silence. I heard
red-headed stare.
He was like,
yeah.
nope.
My radio was broken. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a lefty. Hasn't been real good in the month of June. But I'll give you this. In his 15 starts, the Cubs are 12-3. But in the month of June, Imanaga has gone 27 innings pitched, 32 hits given up, 17 earned runs, 5 home runs. So that's a 5.67 ERA in his June starts. So you're getting a pitcher that just had a pretty bad month. Hopefully the Phillies can take advantage of that. Tomorrow at 2:20, Christopher Sanchez is on the mound for your Fightin' Phils. And then they move on to 3 in Atlanta. Look, I know that the lineup's decimated and the injuries are all there, and good updates. Yesterday, you saw JT Realmuto hitting batting practice. I had a problem with one of the stations last night, and it wasn't NBC Sports Philadelphia.
Thank you.
But they're showing highlights, and they're going like, and JT Realmuto was taking batting practice today. So I saw earlier the highlights of him taking batting practice. He took one pitch, he hit another into the cage, and he hit a ground ball. They showed the highlight of him taking a pitch.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, people, let's pay a little more attention. But so they showed him yesterday.
Sports, just do sports.
Yeah. Yes. They showed Bryce Harper running full sprinting in the outfield yesterday. Yes. So, and Kyle Schwarber brought out the starting lineup last night in Chicago.
He was there. Always
so he looked all muscled up and looked good and ready to go in a happy mood. It was funny, though. I don't know. I texted Tom during the game about something else. But, Ellie, actually, I'll bring it up to you. But I think so on the broadcast last night, they brought up Kelly Leak. Mm-hmm. Okay, you good with that? No Kelly Leak.
Yeah, I thought it was.
You just did what I do with you and Ray all the time. And I have no idea what you're talking about. So I was interested.
I was like,
they brought up.
What's your beef with it?
Do you know who Kelly Leak is?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Now,
that was
now
what the
because I
question-
Googled it
Oh, what? Did I? Oh, from last night?
from the broadcast.
Oh, okay. So anyway, they bring up Kelly Leak last night, and right away I'm like, oh, that's a funny reference to the Bad News Bears, which is a movie I saw when I was a little kid, like 10 years old, something like that. And then it started going in my head, wow, I wonder if the audience knows that reference, because I'm very aware of trying not to reference something that most of our audience wouldn't
It's like the
know
Walter
about.
Matthau Bad News Bears.
That's the one I was speaking of. So Tom brought it up this morning. Yeah, there was a remake. I totally forgot about the Billy Bob Thornton remake
There
and
you
all
go.
that stuff. But I was just wondering about that. But that's why I texted
Yeah, I
Tom and
didn't
he
know.
said, "Oh no, I'm out on my luxurious patio with the window closed, just looking at the Phillies game, drinking highfalutin beers with his fiance
Yeah,
and
he's
friend, and also
Wait, no, he's the one that told us that Miller Lite is his favorite beer.
It's highfalutin. What are you talking about? Come on now.
Apologies to Miller Lite.
I have a new favorite beer right now.
Is it a highfalutin one?
I don't think so.
What is it?
It's Pacifico.
Oh, that's not high.
Bob.
I mean, that's a nice,
Great choice by
that's a
you.
nice beer.
Thank you.
Fantastic. That's number 2 for me.
Oh,
Yeah, I
wow.
really do. I mean, look, most beers I've probably consumed in my life is Miller Lite.
Now, the front page. The stories
Wow.
everyone's talking about. 90.
All right, I'll do it again. So the Phillies improved to 56 and
Sorry about that. Little issues
That's
back
all
here.
right, buddy. Oh, no sweat. Sixers, possible sign and trade with Buddy Hield is what we're hearing this morning.
Yeah.
Might be multiple teams involved. I saw a tweet. Now, look, I'm not, going to reference. It could have been anybody. But I saw somewhere somebody said it could involve up to 5 teams. Jared McCain, he's been real busy on TikTok.
I love it.
I got to tell you, my wife. So
it's
honest to God,
funny to me.
So Donna sits there. We have like this. I don't know. It's weird. After dinner, if I don't go right out back and start doing something or whatever, we'll sit down and she'll usually start looking at TikTok, and she'll start laughing or whatever. So she's laughing. And last night she goes, "I just love this kid," and I'm like, "Who are you talking about?" And she's like, "Jared McCain." She goes, "I think he is adorable."
Yes.
And she showed it to me, and she's like, "I know you're not going to like it because not that I don't like it. And she showed it to me, and I watched a couple of them. I'm like, all right, this kid's having his fun. I don't mind it at all. And then you have Paul George come out. I don't know if you saw this last night. Paul George, I guess he was on a podcast, came out and said, man, and I'm paraphrasing, but this kid's not going to care if he gets booed or whatever. He's putting stuff out there and saying, yeah, I know people are going to hate me for it. I don't care.
And he's done it. He's been on this kind of social media, kind of presence or whatever since high school.
Yeah.
And he's known about it. He said, listen, I get that people are going to be like, Joel Embiid, say this, and you're going to show me doing a dance. And he goes, I know, I see it. I'm on social media. It's not going to bother me. And I'm like, that's good.
Yeah, I agree.
That's good.
And look, if you're looking for somebody to be like, oh, seriously, it's probably me. My type, my age, the way I look at sports, put your head down and play, that stuff. I'm a changed man, Aim. I've watched a couple of them, and I'm like, good for you, man. Have fun. Have fun in life.
Enjoy.
I am never going to deny anybody fun. It's not going to affect his work. I like the kid. The kid is rubbing off very well on me. So, Flyers, their schedule is out. We're going to point out some things about their schedule that's, interesting. Just like when the Sixers schedule used to come out. It'd be like, hey, Bob, we need you to write 10 inches on the Sixers story, on the Sixers schedule. And you look at it and you're like, all right, West Coast trips and this and that and the other. But there's some very interesting things about the Flyers schedule that we will talk about. On the national front, well, this morning, another person got over $100 million. Maybe you've heard of him, Aim. His name is LeBron James. He signed 2 years, $104 million for LeBron, who has made just in basketball salary. I looked it up. I've looked up so many, but I looked it up. He's close to $500 million.
Worth it.
Yeah. So LeBron signs, and that's where we are as far as the front page goes. Now we can dive in a little deeper to 2 first names. No, just kidding. We're not going to do
3
that.
first names. Go.
Oh, that's pretty good. Michael Jackson.
Michael Carter Williams. Oh, and it's an
yeah,
S.
that's pretty good.
It's close.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that.
It's close.
All right, so
Carl Anthony. No. Those one.
no, yeah.
No.
Now you got my head spinning on this. Well, way to go, Aim.
Sorry.
It's just like yesterday when you took 2 answers from somebody and the floodgates opened.
As soon as they said their second one, I was like, nope, we're all done.
Yeah.
We're all done.
Can I get 2? Somebody else got 2. Then we heard
I was
that.
like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I have a feeling that we might hear some Sixers news today. They have
their summer league roster. Is that something you're interested in?
No.
Okay. Well.
No.
No. Jeff Doughton's on it. Tony Bradley's on it. Some old school.
Tony Bradley, yeah. I mean, somebody you want to take a look at because, he was the greatest basketball player in the world after he left here the first time. So, why not bring him back in? No, summer league rosters, as you know, when you have to do stories or when you're actually going to the summer league.
Yes.
You're looking for locals. You're looking for stories.
Little
you're
angle.
looking.
Yeah.
Like I remember going to summer leagues and Rasul Butler, God rest his soul. Rasul Butler would be at a summer league. First time I saw him at a summer league, and he was like, 30 years old. And so I think I even had a LaSalle hat on when I went over to say hi to him because my oldest son graduated from LaSalle. And I went over, maybe the timing doesn't fit. I don't know. I had something LaSalle. But I went over to say, Sul, you mind if I do this? So we sat down and talked, and then it became like the running joke. Like, whenever I'd walk in, it was like the Washington locker room, and he would be there, and he's like, yo, Bob, I'll see you in the summer league, I'm sure. A guy just hanging on. Deontay Christmas, another guy.
I love that guy.
I love Deontay Christmas. Like, just guys that you knew you were going to see at summer leagues that wanted to make a team, and God, you couldn't help but root for them. But summer league this year, you want to see what a Jared McCain is. Yeah. You want to see if Abona can, kind of go out there and do. That's a guy, he intrigues me a little bit.
Adem Bona?
Yeah. Adem Bona. Like, a guy like him who has a real high motor and who I think is going to be. Now, look, I saw him play at UCLA maybe a couple times, but now I've looked up highlights and all of those things. A much better Paul Reed.
I was going to say a much better Mo Bamba.
Oh, okay. Oh, they had a caller in yesterday that bet somebody that Mo Bamba was going to average 10 and 10 this season with the Clippers.
Mo Bamba obviously grew up, not too far from here. Went to Westtown. I think he's originally from New York, but went to Westtown. He had a supreme talent when he would channel it, and you would see it. And I remember covering him when he was at Westtown, and then he did like those camps, and there was a Reebok camp that I think it was that was at Jefferson Textile. What do they call it now? They still call it Jefferson. Science, whatever it is. Jefferson now.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, this guy. But the knock on him, and has been, is his motor is not high. And you saw it in practice. You saw it in games.
Yeah.
When he quit, that was it.
Yeah.
And it would be one game on.
When things were well.
Yeah, 4 games off, one game on. And he just couldn't stay on the court. And, you would hope that after a while that would – it goes back to something that – and Mark Jackson said it, and then I heard Shaq say it on TNT. Mark said it like probably over a year ago when everybody was so excited about Victor Wembanyama because you've already seen this guy. His name's Bol Bol. That was the problem, and a lot of people had issue with Bol Bol, was not a high enough motor.
Yeah.
Doesn't play both ends of the court. When he gets down on himself, count him out. He's it.
Yeah.
But he certainly has a similar skill set, I think, when you look at Bona to what Mo Bamba could be. And Paul Reed, I think, has overachieved in certain aspects. I think Paul Reed is a nice player, but I think that Adem Bona can be that kind of complete guy.
Yeah,
he does have a very high motor.
He does, and you know what? He's got a very good basketball IQ. Now, he didn't start playing ball until he was like 13 years old, he said. But when you watch highlights of him, and, some highlights will have explanations on what they like to see. I don't usually... Oh, they'll have somebody commenting on it. I usually don't like to listen to that because I want to see what I, see, and I don't want somebody directing me to see that, which is just me. But he knows where to go. Like a couple times on a dribble drive, getting off of the box that he was on because he knew his guy had a preference of going to the right side, saw his man double teaming, and gets to a spot where he can be in a passing lane and get it and dunk. Very good guy as far as maybe floaters for dunks, but a high motor. You have to look at it this way. He got in foul trouble a bit last year because he did want to jump and leave his feet way too often. That's okay for a sub with me.
Yeah.
For a sub. Like, he'll be taught later that when it's time to block shots or look for it, don't leave your feet until the offensive player leaves his feet. Yeah. He'll learn the timing of it all, but I think that's like a fun piece of play that the Sixers have.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see him because obviously there was a lot of guys that we're talking about that go to summer league rosters to try to make a roster anywhere, to be that 14th or 15th guy.
Right.
But there's also a lot of the draft picks. All the guys that are the top draft picks are going to be in the summer league. So you'll still see a good level of competition. I understand that it's not going to be the highest level, but it's still a good level. It's better than what they faced last year in college for these kids, or overseas even. So that's why I always like the summer league, and the fact that I get that it's not the exact same level of competition, but it is a good level of competition, because you're going to have some of the top rookies that are there, the guys that were drafted, 1 through 25, including the guys in the second round of the draft. Who there's a lot of I thought a lot of talent back there as well.
Yeah, I used to love it. I mean, I would get to the arena at 11 o'clock in the morning, and games, would start usually around 12 or 11, and just stay there all day long. And it was cool. In Vegas, you have the two arenas next to each other, so you just bop back and forth. Okay, who's playing now? Oh, look at the number 2 pick's playing over here. This guy's playing over there, until, you had to get to your Sixers game. But it is such a fun time watching these kids, and you just get a feel for it. You get more of a... I don't know if you get to see what kind of NBA player they're going to be, but you get to see what type of player they are.
Get more of a sense.
Yeah, like when the Sixers drafted Michael Carter-Williams. Never thought we'd bring his name up twice today in the first segment. But they drafted him, so you're taking a look at him, long kid, and what the expectations were. I'll never forget it. And I think we may have been in Orlando for that summer league on this year. But he went up against Victor Oladipo, and it was one of those, wow.
Yeah, wow.
Oladipo just owned him. Like, it was one of those. So you see that sometimes, and guys maybe that you're not looking at specifically, all of a sudden you turn and say, wow, look at him. Like Andre Drummond, his first summer league, it was like, wow, that guy's not going to be in the league all that long. He was big.
Yeah.
Then he comes back the next year. Yeah. Came back the next year, and it was like, oh, wow, look at him. And so it's cool to watch those kind of things materialize.
Jim Lynam has a good story about seeing LeBron James for the first time in Summer League.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because he knew, everybody knew who he was. And, I'm not going to do a Jim Lynam impersonation because Jim could do it. But it was something like, I'm going to go check this guy out. And he was like, okay, well, that's a man among boys. He was like, it was out of, he just knew right away. Like,
he had another great story that he told me about checking somebody out. And his first checkout was like, okay, maybe he could have a tryout in the NBA. His second look was...
Was it Ben Wallace? Because he has a good Ben Wallace story.
No, his second one was like, that kid's gotten a lot better. It might be a nice sub. And then the third one was like, oh, wow. Like, this kid's free. I think it was Steve Nash.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, but that's a good example of, like,
perfect,
what can...
Right on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So a lot of Sixers talk today. Not to just keep throwing this out there, but they haven't done anything yet. And now we're getting news that Buddy Hield might be part of a sign and trade. There might be numerous teams involved, so you don't know exactly where somebody may be coming from. Word came out yesterday that Paul Reed, it looks like he's either going to be released or traded.
Sign and trade.
So that's going to free up some money for you also. So it's still all out there exactly what Daryl Morey might do. I like the fact that these things are coming into play. Okay, good. I'm just an anxious guy. Not anxious in a bad way of like, come on, what the hell are you doing? No, I just want to see this roster complete so we can really talk about it and figure out where this team may be. Because to me, right now, you still are looking for 2 starters. As I said before, but maybe you have a different take on it. Also, we're going to talk about the Phillies because I think they're coming up to a very interesting time here. I want to ask you a question about importance. Who is the most important Philly from here moving towards when you get everybody back? And that's going to be maybe another month before JT Realmuto comes off the IL and is able to start catching for you again. 610-632-0975. Your thoughts are always welcome. Love to talk to you. You can also text us at that same number. Amy Fadul is with us today. Tom Alvord producing. I'm Bob Cooney. This is Middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. 10:30 here on Middays on this beautiful Wednesday. Hope you're having a great one, obviously. All right, little thing on the side note right here real quick. In order, list your favorite, because there's going to be a lot of barbecues and a lot of food being going on. In order, crab, lobster, shrimp.
Shrimp.
Shrimp 1.
Crab 2.
Crab 2, lobster 3. What about you, Tom?
Shrimp, crab, lobster. I'm not a huge seafood person, though, so I'm the wrong person to ask.
Oh, you're not.
Interesting.
Yeah, unfortunately not.
I think I'm crab, shrimp, lobster.
Yeah.
Lobster doesn't
lobster.
have much taste unless you got a lot of butter on it.
Yeah, and then it just tastes like butter. I might as well just have movie theater popcorn, which is delicious.
Sounds delicious, yeah.
Doesn't it, though?
So it goes shrimp, crab, movie theater popcorn for you.
No, I love a good lobster roll is delicious.
You know, lobster roll is
right?
delicious.
Delicious. A lobster roll is delicious. And the crab, I would prefer shrimp over a crab cake. But if you just give me a bushel of crabs with the Old Bay and the boil, that's number one.
All right. I'll give you that. Yeah, I'm a crab guy. I could sit and eat crabs forever.
Delicious.
Maybe I'll bring you some back because I'm going down crabbing with my brother-in-law.
Of the weekend?
We're setting it up for this summer, and he anticipates, because he and I will probably hit the water about 5 o'clock. And as I've said before, this isn't like put a net down and wait. He does a 1,500-foot trot line. This is serious crabbing. We're anticipating getting about a bushel.
He just spent.
He just did a half a bushel by himself last week. So, looking forward to getting down there on that. I have to laugh as I call up on my computer, and it has yesterday's searches, and Ricky Jordan is the first search that popped up. So yesterday I said, no, Ricky Jordan I thought wore 23. He didn't. We were corrected. He wore 17. It was Kevin Jordan who wore 23 and was also a first baseman for the Phillies. Yeah. So we were talking to Jimmy Lynam yesterday, and love talking to him, and I love his attitude of, what the hell more do you need? You got 3 of the best guys in the league here. This is really cool. And my question was more I wasn't looking for specific names. Right. And like he said, look, that's up to Daryl Morey, and I'm not gonna. And I told. So I was just wondering, are you looking for power forward, or are you looking for a shooting forward, or are you looking for a 3-pointer guy to throw in there that can hit shots? What type of a guy are you looking at? Jimmy was more of the, look, it doesn't matter. This team is going to be really, really good. I love that he says that. That's my confidence level, makes my confidence level go even higher, because it's Jimmy Lynam, and what he says is golden. Is there other things that maybe they're looking to throw in there with the big 3?
Yeah, I think what I took away from it is you're going to hit on one of those guys. One of these guys that you bring in, you're going to hit on him, and you're going to find a guy that's going to be a really good fit and role player for you. And you never really know who that's going to be. And unfortunately, I have to use the Celtics as an example because they are the reigning champions. If this was last year, I would be using the Nuggets as an example of a role player. That might have been KCP who surprised people, whoever it was for the Nuggets. But last year, I think this past season, you saw Derek White really come up and to be at that elite role player level. He really fulfilled a big part of what they needed. They had their big 3, Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Obviously, Kristaps Porzingis, when he played, was a big difference maker. And they had other guys, Peyton Pritchard, Luke Cornett. So I thought that they hit on some of those guys, Peyton Pritchard types. They hit on him, and the Sixers need to have that kind of hit. And I think that's what I took away from Jim. I think that it's all right, you need somebody, and it doesn't matter who it is, but it matters who they are in that system. Yeah,
and you know what else I don't think we can overlook? You might grab a name or grab somebody or a couple somebodies, a few somebodies, and you're like, okay, yeah, I kind of like them, but I don't know, are they the answer? It is. I think it's almost factual. There's no way these guys aren't going to be better playing on a court with Joel Embiid, with Tyrese Maxey, and with Paul George. So a good rebounder, they might become a great rebounder. A good 3-point shooter might become a great one because he's going to have more open looks. So, I also took that out of what Jimmy said. I was thinking, when he says it doesn't matter, because who you're going to get, I think, I don't want to say infinitely better, but how can there not be an uptick on your game? And it goes back to that conversation I've alluded to before, Aim, with Marcus Morris and him telling me, man, it is so easy to be on the floor with Joel Embiid. Yeah. And here's a guy that had been and still is in the NBA for 10-plus years, has played with stars galore, and he started naming them to me. He said, there is nothing I've ever done in my NBA life that was easier than being on the floor with Joel Embiid.
Pat Bev said the same thing.
It's amazing.
Yeah. These guys were just like, it was eye-opening to them to be out there, the way that the court opens up for them, opens up for everybody, opens up for, because of the special, unique, and we talked about it when you think about who you want to back up Joel Embiid, you're never going to be able to mimic his style because it is so unique. But when you're out there with him as a player, these guys all talk about, you don't understand. Like, it's just, I look at it, and they're looking at it from like the full on, like the POV of like, I'm looking down the court, and it looks completely different than anything they've seen because of the way Joel Embiid draws defenses out, and then if they're running on offense, the way that he runs that offense. It's just such a unique system, and the fact that you have to try to find, and that's one of the things that we've talked about, finding that fit. It is because it is so unique.
It was funny. Somebody put out on Twitter, like a Paul George, glad to have you. Look who you're going to be playing with. And it was like a 3-minute reel of Joel Embiid highlights. I swear I think we take this dude for granted. Because, when you watch highlights, when you watch them every day, do you get accustomed to it? Like, we're accustomed to Bryce Harper coming up in big moments, right? We're accustomed to Tyrese Maxey just having ice in his veins. We're we're becoming accustomed to that, I should say. But, like, when somebody puts together a highlight reel of Joel Embiid, and you're like, oh, my God. You know what came across me? I miss watching him play.
Yeah.
I don't like the offseason of basketball because I miss watching him play. And, I talked about this before, too. Tyrone made such a great point a few weeks ago talking about who says he's reached his peak? Because he has done nothing over the last 3 years but get better and better and better.
Each year.
Yeah.
Yeah, last year's trajectory was
just phenomenal. I so mad he got hurt.
I know.
So
as soon as it happened, I was like, of course.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to have nice things.
No, but this year's going to be nicer. I just have that feeling.
I think it is.
Or hope. Or
hope springs eternal.
Yeah, something like that. But, okay, so I was thinking about this last night as I was watching the Phillies because I had a conversation earlier in the day. I wish you would laugh at this, and I was thinking of you yesterday. My phone, buzzes yesterday. I'm out back. I think I was watering the plants or whatever, and I see it's my friend Joe, and I pick up the phone. I'm like, yo, there's no like hello. There's no, all right, 3 topics for you. That's how the conversation starts. And one of the topics is one that I wanted to carry over today. I think we know what Bryce Harper is, okay? And that's great. I think we know what Kyle Schwarber is, and it's even better this year, right? With the 250-plus average, with the on-base percentage, along with the home runs. I don't know if anybody we can define more as we know who he is than JT Realmuto, right? So I'm going to put those 3 as givens. So they go in a box over here. So they're not here right now. So I started to think, okay, in order to keep your head above water, moving forward, who is the most important Philly until they're all back? Then I wanted to expand it a little bit, and this is the question that I'll ask. Besides those 3, who and why is the most important Philly on this team going out the rest of the year, and in order for you to get where you want to go, which is a World Series and probably a championship, who, besides those 3, is your most important Philly moving forward? I had 2 guys in my mind, but I'll save them until I hear your guys because I don't know if mine are right, and I don't know if there is a right answer.
Yeah, I think the right answer is probably multiple people because you're reaching a World Series. When you first started asking that question, my first thought was the guy who's leading the way in the RBIs, and that's Alec Boehm. That was my first thought.
That was my friend's answer.
Just because of what he can generate offensively, getting guys in, hitting with runners in scoring position. But then my other thought is it's Zach Wheeler.
There's a lot of answers. So let's stick with Boehm. So Boehm's leading the league in RBIs. We see how clutch he's been with runners in scoring position. Still young, like a younger player, really grew into something last year, and this year we're seeing that. Is that okay? Are you comfortable with that? Like, if you had to say, this guy not carry us, because you do have those other three that I left out of this subject, but is he a guy you're really confident in that, like, all right, I can count on him in order to help get this team to your ultimate goal?
As far as like everyday players?
Yeah.
Because pitchers are hard just because they're not everyday players. Because you could say starting pitching probably as one entity.
Yes, you could.
But I think I have to, because I'm looking at everybody else, and he would be my most reliable of everybody else. Because Brandon Marsh doesn't play every day. I don't know what's going on in center field, exactly what their mindset is with that. Nick Castellanos up and down. Streaky is not even the word to describe him. Bryson Stott not having the best year. And you took out, I guess, Trey Turner? Did you take out Trey Turner?
I did not. I took out the 3 injured guys.
Oh, you did take out the 3 injured guys. Oh, I guess Trey Turner would have been my answer then.
Huh. What about you, Tom? If you're moving forward here, but it has to be, it's not just like, we can forget about those 3 guys. Those 3 guys come back. This guy has been really good until they all come back. And you need it, not want it, need it in order maybe to get to where you want to go as a Phillies organization.
So does it have to be the same answer for these 2 questions? Like, do I have to have someone in the next 2 weeks and then going forward? Do they have to be the same?
4-hour show, man. You can talk as long as you want about everybody.
Sounds good. All right, so in the next 2 weeks till these guys get back, I believe it's Trey Turner. I think the pitching's going to be fine. I think the bullpen's going to be fine. Trey Turner needs to be kind of the heartbeat of this team until the rest of their heartbeats get back in their leaders in JT, Schwarber, and Bryce. So Trey Turner's my answer for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks until they get back. Going forward the rest of the season, I believe it's Zach Wheeler, because I know this offense is going to be pretty good. We know about the bullpen. Zach Wheeler, in my opinion, is the best pitcher in baseball. Ranger Suarez has been fantastic. There's still question marks with him if he can do it for an entire season. How does he look towards the end of the year? Aaron Nola, we know there's question marks with him, even though he's been great for a majority of this year. Zach Wheeler is that one constant, and as long as he's in this lineup, it makes everybody's job so much easier around him. So Wheeler would be the answer for the rest of the year.
All right, I have my answer that I will give to you when we get back.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah, I feel very, very strongly about this. At first, I had one person in mind, and then another player came into my mind, totally overruled it. I'll give you my reasoning why. I think this might be the most important player, even including the 3 injured guys moving forward for this Phillies team. So glad you joined us here on this beautiful Wednesday. Amy Fadul with us all day long. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back. Hope you're having a great day. A lot on the table today that we're talking about. Amy and I were just scrolling through Twitter, and I noticed something, and then she noticed something else. Guess who your National League Pitcher of the Month for June is? How about that Christopher Sanchez? That's right. 5 starts, 33 innings pitched, a 1.64 ERA, no home runs, 4 walks, 23 strikeouts, opposing batting average, 207. So I saw that and I said, yo, Aim, check this out. And then she one up me.
I didn't.
You one up to me, which is fine.
Did you see who the National League Player of the Weekend or the month is?
The Player of the Month for June.
Player of the month.
I'll go Shohei Ohtani.
That would be a good one, but it is not.
No?
It is Bryce Harper.
No way.
Batted .374 with a 1.166 OPS. That's just incredible.
That's insane.
7 home runs and 16 RBI.
Wow. So you have the Pitcher of the Month and the Player of the Month from your Philadelphia Phillies. And it's funny because there was a time there in June, I think 13-game stretch or something like that. They were 7-6, and you're like, oh boy, are they coming down a little bit? Whatever. But no, what? What else?
It's the first time they've won The Phillies won the Pitcher of the Month and the Player of the Month
since
May of 1980.
All right.
Guess who they are?
May of 1980. I'm going to go Steve Carlton.
Correct.
And Mike Schmidt.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't born yet or anything, but maybe I was. But whatever. Yeah, I remember those months.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
That was a good year.
That was a good year.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe we'll have it again.
Yeah, could be. What was I looking? I was watching. I don't know why. What was I watching the other night? Where Pete Rose. I guess they were showing highlights of the Phillies against the Cubs, and there was almost a fight, and Pete Rose was in the middle of it. And no, it wasn't. It was actually the '80 World Series. That's what it was. The Dickie Knowles knockdown of George Brett. I saw that again, and so that was. So we were talking before about who might be your most important player for the Phillies moving forward, and I took the 3 injured guys out of it because, for better or for worse, I think we know what they know. It's for better or for great, I should say. We know what they are in Bryce Harper, in JT Realmuto, in Kyle Schwarber. I think that's a given this year of what they are. I think they'll come back to being, what they were before they got hurt. And then I started thinking, well, who's the most important player to keep them, treading water, or even above treading water from here until they get back? And I was like, Bryson Stott, no, I can't go with him, even though he's leading off now because of the injuries. He's eventually just going to be that, 6-hole, not just, but he's going to be that 6-hole hitter, and he's not. No, it's Trey Turner. I do. I think if Trey Turner is swinging the bat the way he did the second half of last year, the way he is now, I mean, I gave the numbers earlier. Since he's come back, he's hitting .328. In 13 games. It's a pretty good, size.
Yeah, especially with he had no rehab assignment. It was just like, I'm back. I'm ready to go.
After 6 weeks.
I mean, that's incredible.
He's only going to get better. And, he hits 2 home runs last night. One of them leaves Wrigley Field out to, what is it, Wayland Avenue, whatever it is back there. I just think if this guy is swinging the bat the way you expected when you got him here, and I swear I still close my eyes and see Tim Kirkjian sitting in that seat right over there when Trey Turner was hitting .238 and laughing at John and I when we asked him what's wrong with him. And he was like, nothing. He'll be fine. Don't worry about it. He's going to hit over 300 for you guys for the rest of his career. I just think if that guy goes this way, man, this team is unstoppable. So to me, he is that most important player moving forward for the rest of the season. Only because I am giving the label of we know who you are to Harper, Schwarber, and Realmuto.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an important player. I think there's no doubt. And the way he runs the bases and just he does other little things. Decent defense as well. I think that there's a lot that he brings to the table.
Yeah.
That people can really kind of build off of in that lineup as far as not everyday players.
Yeah, he just really excites me. And, there's so many stories with this team. You can look at different things and say, well, yeah, the numbers are always going to be good because it's the team that's 27 games over 500. Like, for instance, I'm looking at Imanaga today, the starting pitcher for the Cubs. The Cubs aren't a very good team this year. Mm-hmm. They've lost 7 of 9, and I don't know, they were given numbers last night about how bad they have been. They're 12-3 when this guy starts.
Yes.
Like that's a number that, kind of eye-popping. Like, oh, you can almost extract anything from the Phillies. Day games, night games, home, away, left-handed side. It's always going to be good when you're 27 games over 500.
You'll find some metric.
Yeah, you're always going to seem to find that. And 9-4, I was surprised at this because the Phillies have seemed to be, they're 9-4 since Trey Turner got back in the lineup. I was a little bit surprised because, hey, you've played 3 games without the big 3 that I mentioned earlier. I thought that they were doing a little peak valley type of thing. 9-4 is a really good record. So there's just nothing that this team isn't doing right now. I mean, it just seems like last night. All right, Turner got you 2 home runs. That's another way you can win a game. Oh, you're putting a guy out there for his major league debut. He goes 5 innings, 1 earned run. Oh, okay, that's another way you can win a game. This bullpen, Gregory Soto let up 1 earned run in 11 outings or 10 outings in June.
That's a big turnaround because May was not great for him at times.
May was not good. He was on this show with me and you. We said, really? Are we worrying about the third left-handed arm in the bullpen, right?
Because we were looking at what could they get at the trade deadline? I'm like, oh, maybe. And then you brought it up. He's like, he's the third left. I was like, that's where we're at, though. That's where we're at.
Yeah. Well, forget that now.
Never mind.
And then our other worry was, I don't know, Sir Anthony, he didn't come back.
Yeah,
and then he goes like a month without giving up an earned run.
Yeah.
I think you have everything you need in the bullpen. And Tom mentioned it earlier. He said if you're going to go as a whole, you can mention pitching staff as far as most important, and that includes your starters and your bullpen. I swear, if I'm using any assets or whatever it may be to get something for this team,
the outfield.
I think the outfield. I think your other bullpen arm is in your bullpen. Like from a month ago, your other bullpen arm, although we didn't know because he wasn't pitching all that well, was Greg Soto.
Right.
And then your other bullpen arm, right-handed one, it's Sir Anthony Dominguez because now he's pitching well. I'm okay with this bullpen. I don't know how you two feel. You can always use another bullpen arm. I think you have another bullpen arm in there. I think
it's the problem has solved itself. Yeah, Ruiz obviously had a bad outing. I think he's been a little bit touchy, but I can't wait till we're talking after the All-Star break. Remember when we were so concerned about? I mean, some of them will come back down to earth. You've seen that. Coming back down to earth isn't derailing, right? It's just like maybe 1 or 2 outings. You're like, not that great. But the Phillies are still able to find ways to win. They overcome it. They build that big lead. They have the 6 run. So when you give up 1 or 2, not ideal, but they're still able to pull it out. Those guys will find their way. And I think that's one thing we've learned with this team, and we talked about it early on in the season. They just find ways to win. They also find ways to pick each other up. They find ways to pick their bullpen up. I just think when you're looking at, and I thought about it when it was May of 1980. What ended that year?
World Series, yeah.
So it's like when you have these complete teams, and that's what this is, good things do happen. You're 27 games over 500. Think there's no way in the world you thought, here we are, 4th of July, tomorrow, that this team would be 27 games over 500.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I'm fine. I'm telling you, Dave Dombrowski, I'm telling you right now, don't worry about the bullpen. They're fine. I'm fine with them. You have a closer in Hoffman. You have a closer in Alvarado. God, if you wanted to make Kerkering a closer, I think you could do that also. You have enough left-handed arms, enough right-handed arms. I'm fine with the bullpen, Tom. I don't think you have to touch it. Use your assets to get another. Christian Pache, thank you. Apparently, you're very well liked. I really don't need that anymore. David Dahl, thank you. Like you. Not really sure about you. You got Weston Wilson.
Yes.
Is hitting home runs like every 35 seconds down in the minors. Maybe you take a look at that. You okay with the bullpen, Tom? Are you as adamant about it as I am?
No, he's
You're not.
I could tell.
This might be the Phillies' best chance to win a World Series with this core. I would hate to look back in October and say, hey, we really could have used that extra bullpen arm at the deadline. Amy said it. We don't know what these guys are going to look like going forward. There could be a little bit of a fall off. Sir Anthony and Soto have had good months. Will they continue? They've had their problems as well. Hoffman, a guy like Kerkering has never pitched a ton of innings. Last year, counting on Kimbrel towards the very end was a big reason why you lost that NLCS.
Right.
I would hate to look back and have a similar type thought process when you have a year where you're as good as you are. as you mentioned, you could always use another bullpen arm. I would just hate to look back on the deadline and be like, man, one more move could have been made and we chose not to.
Nope, you're wrong. Sorry. Well, you're wrong. They're good. They're good.
We'll see.
The one thing that I think the reason they have been so good is they haven't been as used as much for last year. So when it got down to September, some of those guys, breakdown's too strong, but they certainly got a little bit worn down. And I think that's the thing you have to watch is the use of them. We've been very fortunate to watch the starters go pretty deep. Obviously, Mercado, I think the plan originally was always going to be, give us 5 innings and then we'll get through. Because those guys, we've seen it before where these guys, Wheeler come out, and one of the reasons he might come out is because the bullpen hasn't been used.
Yeah.
We got to get some of these guys some of the work.
Yeah, I never felt like
pitching.
You're right. And so many of them at times like, oh, yeah, that's right. He's got to get some work too. And he's got to get some work. And you're happy because they're pitching so well. All right, we get back. I got your first question of the day. It's related to Paul George. It's not about 2 first names. No, it is about this. What is the acquisition that excited you most in Philadelphia sports? Maybe it is Paul George, but what is the acquisition that excited you the most? It may have worked out. It might not have in Philadelphia history. 610-632-0975. Want to hear your answers on that. Let's have some fun with it. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. What a fun first hour of the show today. Glad you joined us. And let's not forget, Aim, that 10 o'clock hour. It was brought to you by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows. Plus, make no down payment with no payments and no interest for 12 full months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. No news as of yet. Anything 76ers. We are, not that we're waiting on, we're expecting, but we're hoping something may happen. If you didn't hear, Buddy Hield, it's being talked about as a sign and trade.
Yeah, probably with the Warriors, I saw.
Yeah, Warriors, and then I saw something else that there could be multiple teams involved in that.
What do you think they get back? I mean, just picks?
I don't know. Sign and trade, I don't know.
Because they're just trying to clear up room.
Yeah.
I don't think the sign and trade is going to be with a team. I mean, some of the teams I mentioned, I don't know that there's a player that they're like, oh, we really want this guy. Maybe it's just picks.
Yeah, it might
turn
be.
into somebody else.
It's interesting. Is Daryl Morey going to use picks as he has 4 first-rounders at his disposal? Is he going to use picks to look to get somebody also? So still a lot to play out, as we have talked about for the last few days. A little side note here: the Flyers schedule came out yesterday, and when schedules come out, it's I don't think we're going to do win-loss on 82.
I'd be here a while.
Why not?
No. Well, we could.
We have 3 hours.
But just some highlights of the Flyers schedule and some lowlights. They begin the season. This is wild. October 11th, 12th, 15th, and 17th. 4 games on the road. At Vancouver, at Calgary, at Edmonton. Oh, yeah, who just played in the Stanley Cup Final. At Seattle. They start out 4 away West Coast games, all starting at 10 o'clock our time. Craziness. Some other highlights. They have a lot of 1 o'clock Saturday games at home, which I absolutely love. The New York Rangers come to town on Friday, November 29th, which is the day after Thanksgiving, for that 1 o'clock game. Your Stanley Cup champion, Florida Panthers, they come in early December 5th, for a night game then. They also have a 6-game away string end of December, beginning of January. Now, we all know the Wells Fargo Center is taken over by Disney, so that's when usually the Sixers and the Flyers have a long road trip. Flyers have 6 games away from December 23rd to January 5th. At Pittsburgh, Anaheim, Los Angeles, San Jose, Vegas, and finishing up at Toronto. Edmonton, as I said, that team that was in the Stanley Cup Final and one of my favorite NHL teams to watch, they're going to be at the Wells Fargo Center for one of those Saturday afternoon games.
Oh, that'd be good.
So a 1 o'clock, February 22nd. Then you get towards the end of the season in March, in early March, when it might be a time, I don't know, they could be vying for a playoff spot, whatever. They have a favorable 7-game home stretch.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so that goes from March 4th to March 16th, where they'll host Calgary, Winnipeg, Seattle, New Jersey, Ottawa, Tampa Bay, and Carolina. Then they go away for 5 in a row. So it's a wild schedule, it's home and away streaks you look for, but they have more than a few 4 or more away game streaks.
Can we talk about how late the NBA schedule comes out compared to all of the other leagues?
What, end of August? Into September? No,
it's into August.
End of August.
Yeah, I feel like it's like Labor Day time, usually.
Yeah, it used to be the first week of August when I was...
the 22nd, 23rd, 24th of August. It's late.
Yeah. That was a huge, huge day for, not to bring it to me, but for me back in the day.
Well, yeah.
Because, you got to see where you're going to be and see how it plays out. And when's the first West Coast trip? When's the second West Coast trip? All of those things. What I like to look at on the Flyers schedule, Sixers schedule, how it ends up. Because you're going to be vying for something. So, as I said, the Flyers have a big 7-game home stretch, but then go away a lot, too. What's up?
Real quick, 2 interesting matchups, I think, for the Flyers this year in particular. November 23rd, Connor Bedard comes to town, so it'll be Connor Bedard versus Matvei Michkov for the first time.
Oh, that's a good one, Tom.
In Philly. This one's even better. January 11th. Cutter Gauthier versus Matvei Michkov.
That's the first one I looked up. I wanted to see when Cutter Gauthier was coming here.
going to be
Especially
awesome.
after the tweets
I
last
forgot
year.
about that. Yeah, good one,
Especially
Tom.
after
Good
the
pickup
tweets.
by you. Yeah, that's going to be fun.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, I think they'll. I think Philly fans, Flyer fans, might be on top of that one.
They're going to be all honed in.
Yeah. So the question I put out there to everybody: 610-632-0975. Would love to hear from you. Paul George. Everybody's talking about it. It's the big get of this offseason in the NBA. The biggest. It's the biggest get. Maybe it's the biggest get you've ever seen, biggest acquisition you've ever seen in your Philadelphia sports history. Maybe it's not, but we're looking for yours. What was the acquisition that got you most excited in Philadelphia sports? I'll start because I know this one doesn't count for either one of you because I don't think you were born yet. I had just gone. Now, I told you my parents never took me on a vacation, but I had a cousin who did. And we used to go down the shore for a couple of days, but for the first time ever, we went to Disney. I believe I was in high school. We got to the airport. We got in the car. We were driving back to my house in Cherry Hill. I kid you not. I remember this like it was yesterday. That's why I'm describing it like this. We pulled up to the curb. They had KYW on. We pulled up to the curb. I was just about to, I put my hand on the door to open it, and my cousin was about to turn off the car, and I said, stop. No. Because the news was that your Philadelphia 76ers had acquired in a trade Moses Malone. For a kid that went through, cried his eyes out when they lost to the Portland Trail Blazers, who developed a hate that still resonates for the Boston Celtics, for everything that they did, who couldn't stand Magic Johnson in Showtime because that's what was beating you if you got to the NBA Finals. To get that news and say, oh, my God, they're going to win a championship, that was the biggest acquisition of my lifetime.
And they did.
How about you, Aim? Do you have one?
It's funny when you first...
And look, yours might not be Philadelphia.
Yeah. Well, no. This was because he's one of my favorite players of all time, and it's my favorite Philly. But when you first started talking about this, all I could talk about was the joy that we felt when certain guys came here and just the disparity that we felt, like just despair of, like Dream Team. Like I can visually, like I can just close my eyes and I can hear and see Vince Young being like, Dream Team, haha. Like, and everybody was so excited. Look how great. And like, that couldn't have gone worse. Andrew Bynum, we were having like parades practically for that guy, and it couldn't have gone worse. Like, there was so much excitement.
Yeah.
And for them to let us down was just so terrible. But my favorite, certainly since I've been here, and one of my favorites, period, no matter where I would have lived, is when Roy Halladay came here to Philadelphia.
Good
just
one.
because he was such a tremendous pitcher, and his work ethic was unparalleled. I've never seen anybody work that way. I had moved here from Baltimore, so I'd seen him when he was a Blue Jay a couple of different times, and I just thought, this guy is one of the best pitchers I've ever seen, and now I get a chance to cover him. It was incredible. It was just, for me, I mean, Bryce Harper is going to come up, I think, there, but Roy
Don't give
Halladay.
away all the names.
Well, that was my other one.
Jeez.
But yes, but Roy Halladay for me, I was like, wow.
That's a good
Roy
one. As
Halladay.
Amy pointed to her heart and said, that was a wow for me.
That was me.
What about you, Tom? Biggest acquisition?
It loses its luster a little bit because someone just stole it there. But
I'm
Bryce
sorry.
Harper was mine.
Okay.
Bryce Harper. I mean, at the time, the Phillies were in such a rut at that time.
Yeah.
No playoffs for 8 years or however long it was until he signed here. And it felt like they had no direction, the Philadelphia Phillies then. There were questions with management, with ownership. Bryce Harper coming here and choosing us, and of course we give him a lot of money. That absolutely helps. But having the no opt-outs in his deal was such a big deal at the time. Harper, a guy who was the face of the league, choosing this city. And look what it's done for this Philadelphia Phillies team. Obviously, have to get over the hump and win it, but this ride that we've been on the last 2+ years has been fantastic, and I think a majority of that is because of Bryce Harper being here.
Yeah, so this Paul George thing, he's been a theme that we can carry on. We did the 2 first names yesterday. What was an acquisition that really excited you? And look, like I said, it could have worked out. It might not have. Like, there was one when I was younger, and I don't think anybody will take this. I'm hesitant whether I should say it or not, so I guess I won't. There was one when I was younger that was made that a lot of people were really excited for, much in the fashion of, oh, this is the guy that could put you over top. And, man, it did not work out. So maybe somebody will come up with that one. It could be a draft pick. It could be anything, an acquisition in any way, trade, free agency, a draft pick. What is one that really excited you, and how did it play out for you? Maybe it played out well, maybe it didn't. 610-632-0975 is the number. You can chime in. Let us know. Let us know what would have been one of them that really, really excited you. You know what really excites me, Tom and Amy? Fan Fest.
Yes.
That's right. 97.5 The Fanatic Fan Fest 2024 with FanDuel. It's Saturday, September 28th at Xfinity Live. Our first online ticket rate is going to be on Monday. That's right, this Monday, July 8th at 3 p.m. at 975thefanatic.com. Don't miss your chance to get tickets for the biggest party of the year for Philly sports fans. All the Fanatic hosts will all be there. Celebrity guests, Philly sports legends, activities, games, prizes, a whole lot more. 975thefanatic.com has all your information. Joe in Harleysville is going to start us off today about acquisitions and how it played out. Joe, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
First of all, you guys are an amazing team together.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, buddy.
I have thought for so long that Amy needed to have her own show somewhere, and I am so grateful that she's here.
Well, they were good. They were going to give her her own show, but it would have been too good. So they said, "Bob, why don't you go with her
It's a better
and bring
pairing.
it down a little bit, Joe?"
That's not Joe.
Bob, you got a great basketball mind. I really appreciate it. And
thank you,
my
buddy.
greatest acquisition is Julius Irving,
Uh-huh.
the doctor. Oh, my goodness. I was in Spanish class in 1974, and I remember we used to listen, like I used to watch the ABA all the time, like when they would have snippets of ABA, and you had Artist Gilmore and all of them, and
George Gervin.
flying, and George Gervin, yes, and they would just be flying all over that court. It was such a different game.
It was.
And he brought that game to Philadelphia. I remember. I think it was a $6 million contract.
Yeah, which at the time was crazy, right, Joe?
Yes, and it actually I think had part of the reason the ABA collapsed. You know.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Joe,
I'll
that's
never
a
forget
great one. That is an absolute great one. Thanks so much for the call and the nice words. We really appreciate it. For those of you who haven't, and I'm being honest here, if you're a basketball fan, I think it still resonates today, even though the athletes have gotten so much maybe better and bigger and faster and stronger. If you go back and watch highlights of Julius Irving, it is incredible. It was at a time where, like, I was a little kid, but you're watching, and as Joe said, back then you didn't see guys as much as you wanted to because you simply couldn't.
Yeah.
On Saturday afternoons when they would have NBA games, or Sundays when they would have NBA games, and they would show highlights of ABA, this guy was something the likes of Julius Irving that you would look at and go, oh, my God, somebody can do that. That's really how game-changing Julius Irving was. And I know some of you have seen snippets of, the layup against the Lakers that goes behind the backboard and underneath, and his slam dunks, the rock the cradle slam dunk that he had also against the Lakers. But go back and if you can, watch highlight reels of Julius Irving because it was so game-changing at the time. And then for him to come to Philadelphia was it was unbelievable.
I mean, the stuff that he did defied physics. And I think
it really did.
When you can close your eyes and picture him going up and under. The body control that takes, and we see it sometimes with, like I play the Tyrese Maxey makes, where you're changing things midair. I don't think the appreciation for that was probably there at the time. I don't know if it's still there. But the stuff that he was able to do, it just changed the game, and it changed the way everybody expected the game to be played and wanted the game to be played. I mean, obviously the high-flying nature, but the stuff he did, it was just so entertaining. And that's when you realize, like, yes, basketball is fun and we love it, but you needed to have, like, a guy really give you that extra razzle-dazzle. And it took the Sixers over the top as well, him with Malone on those teams in 1980. But, yeah, I mean, Dr. J is just, for a lot of people, that he's always going to be their favorite player. You had this topic, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, like your favorite player. Maybe not the best player, but I feel like Dr. J was that for a lot of people because, he is one of the best, but he's also their favorite player because of how much they enjoyed watching him play.
He really took the game to another level, a level of how he played above the rim, a level of people trying to emulate him. And look, back then you didn't have it. You didn't. Michael Jordan came along in the dunk contest, took off from the foul line, something that Irving had already done previously in a dunk contest. But as far as playing above the rim, game change. If you throw out a bunch of basketballs, kid, like you have a 9-year-old now, little Shawnee. If you were to get like 6 of his friends and say, "Hey guys, here's 6 basketballs. Go shoot up." You watch them; they're all going to stand around the 3-point line and launch. That's what they're going to do. Back in the day when Julius Erving came to the NBA, all you saw was guys trying to take 2 huge steps with one hand and go to the basket as high as they could go. Yeah, it was just so game-changing. That's a great answer that Joe gave with Julius Erving, and as you can tell, that one also hit me pretty good. Bob in Iowa, he's got one. Bob, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, guys, how you doing?
Hey, Bob.
Out there? My favorite time of year. I missed the short on this holiday weekend. But my player is that I can remember, Steve Carlton.
How about now? See, I don't remember when the Phillies got him, and it was a trade for Rick Wise, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And then he had his battery mate, Tim McCarver, and I went to about 5 of his games. I think that was the year that they won 30 games, and he won like 23 of them.
Yeah, I think it was like 57, 58, and he won 27, I believe, that year, something crazy like that. Now, let me ask you, though, Bob, because I don't remember it. Was there legit excitement over the trade because everybody thought Steve Carlton was it, or does your excitement come after what Steve Carlton became?
No, during, because let me tell you this, it was the vet, and the vet packed it. 60,000 people came to see Steve Carlton pitch at home, and it was incredible. They had folding chairs on the 7th heaven up in the yellow section on the last row for him.
Oh, wow. I never knew that story. Wow. Bob, listen, have yourself a great 4th of July. We always appreciate you checking in.
Hey, one more thing. Can
what do you got?
Say one more thing?
Yeah,
sure.
Anybody yesterday say that game about the 2 name was great, but did anybody mention Connie Mack?
No one mentioned Connie Mack, and I would even put a wager out there that most of our listening audience never even heard of Connie Mack.
Besides Connie Mack Stadium, they probably didn't know it was a human.
Yeah, you bet. Have a great weekend.
Good stuff.
All right,
You
thanks,
too, Bob.
Bob.
Happy
Appreciate it. My mom was best friends for a long while with Connie Mack's daughter.
Oh.
Yeah, isn't that weird? They used to go to Mr. Mack. She always referred to him as Mr. Mack. And my mom had and it's still in our family somewhere. Lefty Grove gave my mom a stick of gum that she never, ever got rid of. Yeah. Not a used stick of gum. Like, you're looking at me a little weird.
No, but I'm just wondering, how is it? What form is it in?
I don't know. She had it in a thing and had it
in like a Ziploc?
I don't. Yeah, she did. No. But yeah, honest to God, I'm not. I swear. She used to go to games.
I'll find an old piece of gum and say someone gave it.
My mom was an unbelievable athlete. It's so funny. Like, my mom would be 101 years because she had me really late in life. But she was incredible. Field hockey, basketball, volleyball, table tennis, and had clips from newspapers about herself. Yeah. So, but anyway, when she was a kid, became best friends somehow with Connie Mack's daughter or whatever, and they used to go to games together all the time. That's cool. Sitting right behind the dugout.
Hey,
it's absolutely phenomenal. I know it's a long time ago, so I'm not showing my age. I'm showing my parents' age because they had me real late in life. Yeah, that's what it is. Chad in Allentown, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Chad?
Hey, guys. Love the show. I hate to bring this guy up because he's a villain now, but Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose. Man,
yeah.
It was. I was always a huge Pete Rose fan. I had the number 14 my whole life, and then he came to Philadelphia. Won a World Series.
Yeah, and look, it might have been the guy that put him over the top. We talked to Larry Bow about it just a couple of weeks ago, and he said, Pete Rose is it, but there was other things. Mm-hmm. Chad, my dad taught me at a young age to hate Pete Rose.
Yeah, my dad taught me the opposite, I love the guy forever. Every baseball card ever made of that guy, and now he's just a disgrace. And
Yeah.
I met him at a card signing or whatever show. He was a jerk. And
Oh, is that right? How about that?
That when I was when I was older, and so like I think it was I was like 20 years old at that point when I first met him, and absolute jerk. I do have a comment about the Steve Carlton thing.
Okay.
Carlton is awesome, obviously, but I've told this story before, but he is the nicest guy. He's the exact opposite of Pete Rose. I met him. Unfortunately, I almost got run over by him at that stadium, and my father wanted to kill me.
Can't be stepping out in front of cars, Chad.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's like, and he was like not concerned about my health. He was like, "You could have ruined Steve Carlton's career."
Oh, jeez. Chad, thanks so much for the call and the stories. That's awesome stuff. So what we're asking from you today, we got some great answers so far. I know you'll have yours. It's generational. It's whatever it may be. But what was an acquisition that really excited you? And maybe it played out, maybe it did not, because the Philadelphia 76ers got Paul George. Does that excite you? How much does it excite you? Because there's two ways to look at it. One, yeah, they had to do it. And that was the best guy out there, so you had to go and get it. Or two, yeah, as a lot of people have said, this is the perfect match for Joel Embiid. We'll take a look at all that and a whole lot more. You can get in touch with us, 610-632-0975. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. 11:30 here at the Fanatic as we enter this holiday weekend. Amy is all USA'd up today.
I am.
Proud of you.
USA.
Yeah, I had a Wawa shirt out, T-shirt that had like all the fireworks and stuff on it. But I have a meeting after the show today,
presentable,
and my wife was like, Donna's like, "What are you doing?" No, so yeah, I had to go with the golf shirt today. I didn't think
changed.
it out. Yeah, I
changed because I changed.
I think you and I are kind of the same. Now you have a job where it matters what you dress like because you're on that television thing sometimes. Back in the day when I had to be seen by people, it was a shirt and tie and pants and, all of that. Of course, pants.
Shorts. It was shorts.
Well,
for you.
sometimes on Daily News Live, it was shorts. We did get, I got blamed,
Michelle
I
maybe
think.
said something?
Yeah, so we used to do, on Daily News Live, it was a desk that covered us from the waist down. So, yeah, during the hot summer days, most of us would come in
almost everybody.
with shirt and tie and probably a suit jacket.
Yes.
And then shorts. Well, this one time I was on, and Barkan was like, so we have this game that we're going to play over here. I think the Olympics were coming up or something. And there was an element that he wanted to do, so we had to get up from out the desk. And there I am with slides and, a pair of shorts. And the memo came out like the next day of, can we please wear proper, whatever.
I dress all the way down, head to toe.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. I don't ever wear tennis shoes. I don't ever wear, people wear slides or tennis shoes. I just can't. Once I'm on.
Do you say that? I've never said that in my life.
What?
Tennis shoes?
No, that's a weird, I know.
Is that a Southern thing?
It is.
I've never said tennis shoes in my life.
No, I guess sneakers.
Nah, sneakers.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Amy, don't change.
You should be sorry.
I
Say the way you are.
Yeah.
So something happened in the Phillies game last night before we get to our callers here that Amy brought up to me that I forgot to mention, but it was a big part of the game, I thought.
Because you had mentioned that Kyle Schwarber was in the dugout at Wrigley, and I thought that was really cool. But if you saw at the end of the game, they have handshakes. The guys coming out from the bullpen, you're shaking. Everybody from the dugout comes out and shakes hands of everybody that's that was in the field and everything else. So hanging back towards the line, the first base line, was Michael Mercado. And Schwarber sees him, and Mercado's just taking it all in. Obviously, his first start, it was amazing. Schwarber takes him, pats him on the chest, and literally pushes him to the very, very front of the handshake line. And I thought that was such a cool moment because that shows you everything you need to know about who Kyle Schwarber is to this team and how everybody else views him. Because, of course, he did that. And everybody's like, naturally. And I think that meant a lot probably to Michael Mercado. But those guys see that kind of stuff. They see what he does.
I'm glad you brought that up because I do think, because a lot of people, as soon as the game's over in baseball, click, you go somewhere else. Like I was watching a WNBA game that started late last night. But for some reason, I didn't click right away back over. It might have been halftime, something. But I thought that was such a cool moment. Like, imagine it. I don't know how anybody know how old Michael Mercado is? I know he was drafted in like 19-something. But he doesn't appear to be he's not like a 21-year-old or a 20-year-old. I don't think.
No.
I think he's a little bit older. But the fact that first game, everything, Kyle Schwarber isn't playing, is at Wrigley Field where he used to be a player. So he's probably got some things going through his mind, handed out the lineup card, as I said earlier. Just to think that out. Like, whoa. 25. No, dude, you just won your first major league game, man. Come here.
Let's go.
You get up front so that everybody coming off the field, you're the first person they see. Loved it.
Such a leader.
This team, you can talk about hitting and fielding and pitching and all that. I don't know. Last night they had a really cool thing on where, who was it? It was Ruben last night. You still didn't give me the schedule. Ruben
I gave you yesterday.
Yeah.
Ruben's on this trip.
He's on this trip, yeah. Ruben Amaro was talking about something happened, I forget what it was, but he's talking about how engaged the team is. And he said, look over at their dugout right now. It's like the fifth inning of a 3-1 game against the Chicago Cubs in the middle of a season. Every single player on the top step, and if they're not, they're sitting in the seat so they can see right over the player on the top step.
Yeah,
I mean, fully engaged. I thought that was two off-the-field kind of things that were really impressive about that game last night and about this team. James in the Northeast wants to chime in about acquisition. James, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on?
Hey, long-time listener here, a first-time caller. So I just wanted to chime in on that. So I think my favorite acquisition is going to have to be that 1996 first-round draft pick, AI number 3.
Nice one.
Holding, 3 of his jerseys. He made a big impact on the city in basketball. Recent stats you put up numbers, during those. And I was still young, so he was like a huge influence on me when I was younger, growing up, watching the Sixers play.
And at the time, James, you're a young kid. You saw Iverson in college was just a blur, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, oh man, John Thompson, who was known for coaching big men and having real good success with big men in Patrick Ewing, Alonzo Mourning, all those. You have Allen Iverson come along, who's just a blur. And I know at the time some of the thought was...
Oh, yeah, barely 6 feet.
Yeah, some of the thought was, is this a good idea, taking him at number 1? How did you feel going into it, if you remember, about the Sixers going to take AI?
So, I mean, with that, it's just like that. The shortest, at the time, I believe he was the shortest draft pick in the NBA at that time. So, I'm sure everybody was skeptic about it. But, boy, after he got out there, he proved everybody wrong. He was definitely no one to be skeptic about, for sure. So, he definitely made an impact on the Sixers.
Oh, absolutely. James, thanks so much. Hope you have a great 4th of July.
He changed to basketball.
He did. It was just... that was another one that you watched in college that you were... I've brought up Kevin Durant before. But Iverson was another one in college that you watched and you said, are you serious? This guy's doing that? And we can't forget, like, the John Thompson that was prominent on me, the coach of Georgetown at the time, was, okay, he knows how to coach Patrick Ewing and Alonzo Mourning and big, tough Georgetown teams. Wait a minute. He's got this 6 foot, 150-pound dude that's doing this kind of thing in college basketball. And I remember at the time, there was some doubt. Like, really? Is this guy going to take you over the top? And then he comes out and it's just like, whoa.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely top 3. I'd have to dive into it. Most exciting players I've seen in my lifetime.
Pound for pound. I don't know that you're going to have a better athlete or better basketball player. Also athlete. Let's not forget, if he played football and the year started with a 2 instead of a 1, he'd have made it to the NFL.
Yeah. Do you ever do that? Like sometimes I'll be sitting up at night and I'll think of something and I'll go to look. Like sometimes it might be, something with my kids playing sports, and I'll look it up, whether it was a story or notes that we wrote down or memories, pictures of when they were playing sports, or like it might be a friend that, I hate to say it, but a friend that passed. I want to remember them a little more, so I'll look up their video tribute and I'll watch that. Sometimes I'll look up like Allen Iverson playing high school football, stuff like that. Do you ever do that?
I've seen it.
Yeah,
it's
you
incredible.
were there. Yeah,
I didn't watch him play. Mike Vick was more of my time, but like I've looked at those multiple times to try to also show like DeShawnee or whatever. Like you don't understand when people are wearing these Bethel jerseys because it's a popular jersey when people have jersey days at camps or whatever.
Right.
We'll see it. I'm like, let's take a look at what he looked like, and he's like, it's like Lamar Jackson. It's like Lamar Jackson plus Mike Vick plus I don't even know who. Like it's just you've never seen anything like it. And if he wasn't that size and it wasn't in the 90s. He would absolutely have gone to college on a football scholarship. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, just amazing. And playing quarterback. Now, if he played in college...
You would play everything.
He probably would have been a DB, a safety, or something like that.
They would have put him at everything because he was the fastest guy on the field.
If you do get a chance to check out Allen Iverson, you have to do it.
It's worth a Google.
Oh, it absolutely is. We're going to go to Bill in Norristown. Bill, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, how we doing?
Good, Bill. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. My most excited ever was the second time we got Cliff Lee.
Yes, Cliff Lee Part 2, because it was such a surprise, right?
Yes, Cliff Lee Part 2. That was really, you just felt like there's no way we weren't going to have another parade. That's how exciting that was. Didn't turn out that way. But that was definitely probably you picked up Roy Halladay, so you had to say, okay, 1A and 1B. You got 1A. But then when Ruben Amaro was able to get Cliff Lee back again, that was probably the most excited I ever was about an individual person.
That's a good one. I was just telling Amy during the break, Bill, that Cliff Lee Part 1, I was actually covering the Phillies that day. It was a Sunday afternoon. I'll never forget it. Game gets over. I'm in a good spot. I've already written my one story. I'm about to write my next one, and we get word that Cliff Lee's going to be coming to the Phillies. That was right after he was like 25-3 or something crazy with the Indians, right?
Yep. And I mean, that was exciting as well. And if I had, and right behind that one, and it turned out to be like the worst thing ever. Like the Sixers are just my heart. That's my favorite team. And I got so excited when Andrew Bynum.
Yes, you're not alone in that, Bill.
And boy, did that turn out. I think that was the last time I ever allowed myself to get excited about an acquisition.
I like
Andrew Bynum was probably my 1B.
Yeah, and that went away quickly.
God,
Bill, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Hope you have a great 4th of July. Interesting subject we got going on here today. We're talking about on the heels of Paul George coming here. What's your favorite acquisition that happened here in Philadelphia? And how did it turn out for you? Did it turn out well? Did it not? Because some of your favorites, like an Andrew Bynum, might not have played out as well as you liked. I'll tell you another one of my favorites. When the Phillies acquired Ricky Pitalico, my family, it was like you couldn't sleep for a couple of days because of the excitement of Ricky coming to Philadelphia as he gives me the dirty eyes. When we get back, we'll talk to Ricky Pitalico during the break and see how he's making out. This is the Midday Show, 97.5, The Fanatic. Welcome back as we approach the noon hour here. Middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. I have to correct a mistake I made.
Yes.
I mean, I don't turn the channel right after the Phillies game is over. I turn the channel right after the Phillies post game is over,
Correct.
of course.
That's what Ricky
Ricky
remind
was,
you.
and he knows that I watch because we talk about pre and post game a lot. Like last night from 7:30 to 8, I was out back. I watched the pregame show right after. So from 20 after 7 to 7:30, I watched the end of Everybody Loves Raymond. Yes. And then I switched over to Philly's
Yes, because
pregame
from 6
show.
to 6:30, you obviously watch Bird's Huddle.
Obviously, yes. And then I just, and then if you guys aren't on, I'll look at your pictures in my phone and say, oh, there they are.
I miss them so much.
Yeah, because, we have that going on with us. So on the heels of Paul George acquisition and the excitement that we have as Philadelphians, as Sixers fans, and we wait for more of it to come about, which we haven't gotten just yet. But if you haven't heard, earlier today, it was reported that the Sixers might be interested in doing a sign and trade with Buddy Hield. There might be numerous teams involved in that. What it entails, we don't know. Whether it's names, picks, whatever, we're just not sure. They're going to do some things over the next couple of weeks. They have announced their roster for Summer League, which we will get to. Bring that up a little bit later. Just some interesting names on there and names that you would expect, obviously. So we'll take a look at that a little bit later as they're headed out to, they doing Utah and Las Vegas, I believe?
Yes, both.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Salt Lake in.
Yeah, that was always a good 1-2 punch. Utah being just beautiful and then going into the pizza oven, which was Las Vegas in the middle of July. But also a side note that we have here and the question that we asked. With Paul George coming here, huge acquisition. I think a lot of people, I would say the majority, are totally on board and very excited about it. So I wanted to ask you, and you can respond at 610-632-0975. What was your most exciting Philadelphia sports acquisition? We've had a lot of great answers so far, and we have a lot more people that want to talk about it. Starting with Rich in Harrisburg. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Rich?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Great.
Fantastic. Very excited about that acquisition. I think, well, at least it'll keep us excited, through the coming year. So we'll see what happens when they get all their pieces. But right now, it's a whole lot better than it was last week. So
yeah, you actually have a player. That is cool. You have 3 people in your starting lineup right now, which is good.
That's not just 3 people. You have 3 stars. So that's a big deal. But,
exactly.
Let me set the stage for my acquisition. Summer '73, I graduate high school. I'm at the Jersey Shore. I pick up my Philadelphia Daily News, and I see that the Flyers had reacquired Bernie Parent. So you're talking about what the future brought with these acquisitions. You won a Stanley Cup in 1974. You won a Stanley Cup in 1975. And you would have three-peated. They had the best team in hockey, but Bernie got hurt. So if Bernie doesn't get hurt, the acquisition of Bernie Parent wins you 3 Stanley Cups. And without Bernie Parent, you have the longest drought in history because the Flyers franchise wouldn't have won any Stanley Cups.
All right, so I'm sure you know the answer to this trivia question. Who was he traded for? It was another goalie. How about Doug Favell?
Doug Favell.
That's right. Yeah.
Because, and also Doug Favell, the 73, they were eliminated from the playoffs when Buffalo scored a goal with 4 seconds to go.
Yep.
And that eliminated the Flyers from the playoffs. And Dougie Favell was a great goaltender, but there's just one Bernie Parent, and he was epic. He was historic, and I know you guys have probably just seen films, but I'm sure you met him, the great person that he is, and I've met him quite a few times. He's a tremendous person. But that to me was, and I was actually at Penn State when they acquired the doctor, and that was right up there with thrills in my life too.
Yeah.
But Bernie Parent. I mean, 2 Stanley Cups. It's pretty hard to argue with what he did for that franchise.
No, you're exactly right. Rich, thanks so much for the call. Bernie Parent, talk about, he was one of the first people that I heard of, Hall of Fame player, but even a better person. And Bernie was that. We worked together a few times. he was nice enough that when my son was younger, we were doing things for autism. It was kind of an Olympic day for the kids, and Bernie would come out each year
gives
just
a lot
to
of his
say,
time. Yeah,
literally
really good guy.
just to come out and say, "Let the games begin."
That's great.
And he hung around, and he's just such a good, and to this day, still such a great guy, and became one of the greatest goalies of all time. I was on years ago, before I started here, I was on another radio program, and they had the trivia question out there. They had me on as a guest, and they had the trivia question. I said, "Oh, that's a pretty good trivia question," and they said, "I said, do you mind if I answer it?" And before they said, "Yeah, go ahead," I named Doug Favell, and I blew up the show because they were giving away something big for it, and I was like, "Whoops!"
Sorry.
Yeah, I felt kind of bad, but now I don't, so it doesn't make much of a difference. Let's go to Ken in Pennsylvania. Ken, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on, Ken?
All right, good morning. How's everybody doing?
Doing great. How about you?
I'm doing awesome. Thank
Good.
you. I don't know if this qualifies, but just from my memories, I guess, looking back, I don't think I was ever more excited when Jeffrey Lurie bought the Eagles.
Really? Was that because of who was going out or because he was coming in?
It was probably, I'd have to say, more about who was getting out of there, because it was just painfully obvious that I don't think that guy had any interest in winning.
It was Norman Brayman, right? Or was it Leonard? It was Norman Brayman?
Yeah, Norman Brayman.
Okay.
Yeah. And, whenever I just had a feeling, and obviously that all worked out. I mean, the Eagles have been one of the best franchises now for 20 years plus.
Under Jeffrey Lurie, they have been absolute. We talk about gold standard and however, they have been absolutely remarkable under the ownership of Jeffrey Lurie.
I agree 100%.
That's a great answer. Yeah. That's a really good answer. We appreciate it, Ken. Thanks so much for making the phone call. You don't think of an owner as an acquisition many times, and I don't even remember what my reaction was back then. I didn't know who Jeffrey Lurie was. You certainly don't know what kind of an owner is coming in. Oh yeah, it's a guy with a lot of money. That's all I knew.
Well, I think his point also was
getting out.
Yeah, just the level of interest and the level of just the excitement of not only not having the previous owner, but a guy that could be a lot more invested. I think that the people down there in D.C. have felt that way about the new ownership of the Commanders. Rightfully so. Dan Snyder.
We know him.
We do know him, but it's almost like any grass is greener than whatever they had. I mean, Dan Snyder was a terrible owner for a lot of reasons down there in D.C. So I think that's probably, it's a good one.
Norman Brayman was the owner that I think Buddy Ryan called the guy in France, wasn't it?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
Yeah. Because Buddy Ryan was famous for that.
Yeah.
He would call up players by their numbers. That number 57 there, he's not very good. And, just a brass way of being who he was. But that was Buddy Ryan. Also a name that came up yesterday
was
in our two first names. Okay, listen, what we're talking about here is because of Paul George coming here. How excited are you over this acquisition? I've heard mostly excitement, almost, a large majority talking about the excitement of Paul George coming here. Some people also saying, what else are you going to do? If you didn't get Paul George, you were really up bleep creek.
Yes.
So the acquisition had to be made. It was made. How excited are you about that? And what was another acquisition in your lifetime that got you really excited? We've had a lot of great ones out there. We have a lot of people on hold that want to tell us theirs. 610-632-0975. Would love for you to chime in. Let us know your favorite acquisition. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Little after 12 o'clock here on this beautiful Wednesday. Hope it's your last work day of the week, or maybe you're on vacation all week, which is also awesome, as we did have a couple of calls. Or we had a call yesterday, somebody saying they were going down. JP, I think, saying she was driving down to the shore
PJ.
for her vacation. PJ?
PJ from Blackwood.
Oh, PJ. What did I say, JP?
JP, yeah.
Maybe it was JP.
It was PJ.
JP Morgan. At 12 o'clock hour, it's brought to you by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months and a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at servicefirsthvac.com. All right, we're talking about acquisitions today. We are also going to have a call in a couple of minutes from someone who witnessed the Phillies win over the Chicago Cubs last night. Maybe, just maybe, was near Trey Turner's first home run. Because the second one, nobody was near unless you were outside of the ballpark, because that's where it went, Aim. All the way out of the ballpark. Man, just his swing, another thing I was talking about with a buddy yesterday, he's got a wild swing. He has a swing that if I was a coach, I'd be like, oh, excuse me, son.
Yeah, maybe
Hold on a second. This isn't wiffle ball, like, or underhand softball. Let's kind of curve that down a little bit, but
maybe
no.
shorten it a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm good.
I think about that every time I used to see. Well, we haven't seen it, but when I see Kyle Schwarber swing, there is no doubt he is going for a home run. He will go down to his knee at least once every at bat. It's remarkable. It's my favorite thing. He will, if it's out of the zone, he can hit it out.
Yeah, it's like
care less.
It's like you're at the age with your kids now that you're going to see some wonky things in sports. Like this kid skates funny, this kid swings funny, this kid shoots funny. But guess what? It works, so don't change it. Sometimes that's where you have to be. As much as you love the pure shooting form or the pure catching form, sometimes, you just got to go with what works. That's worked really well for Trey Turner, and it worked well last night with the 2 home runs as the Phillies do get that 6-4 win. 8 o'clock tonight, they're back at it. Zach Wheeler on the mound. It's so much fun.
Yeah, right?
You just say, I don't know if there's any kind of a dip. Wait, Ranger Suarez at 10-2's going. Oh, Zach Wheeler's going tomorrow. Oh, Bryce Harper's going to be back soon along with Kyle Schwarber and JT Realmuto. Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot those guys were out. All good times here when it comes to the Philadelphia Phillies. Merrill on the cell is going to talk about an acquisition. Merrill, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on, Merrill?
Oh, yeah, real quick. I played golf with Charles Barkley once, and I tried the whole round to change his swing. Talk about swing change. He wouldn't listen to me.
He's better now. He's changed his feet. He shot an 85 recently.
His hitch, because we had the same coach.
Oh, that hitch.
Hey, listen, I think you got to look at an acquisition as leading to a championship. So when that guy called about Bertie Perrant, and I threw in Pete Rose and Julius Erving and Moses Malone that were already picked. Those are the acquisitions that are the best. Anything else is no better than James Harden, which is I don't think Paul George is going to bring a championship here. He hasn't in 3 other places. He's lost a step or two. We're getting him on the downside of his career, and I don't think that's going to be enough to take a championship. I hate to say that. I hope I'm wrong, but it's not a similar acquisition as Moses, Julius, Pete Rose, guys like that brought us a championship. What do you think?
I have to look. Yours is probably a popular belief because of all the times that they've tried to bring in here and surround Joel Embiid with people, right?
Yeah, but I'm just looking at, acquisitions leading to a championship. My favorite acquisition actually didn't lead to a championship, but it wasn't his fault. It was Eric Lindros. But I thought that was bringing us a couple of cups, but it didn't work out for various reasons. Now, did you have a problem with the Phillies last night, Merrill? Yeah, I did. You were talking about, and this is just a mind.
And it's funny you bring. Not to interrupt you. It's funny you bring it up because my wife brought it up numerous times when we were watching. She was laughing about it.
I wasn't going to bring it up until you started talking about the guy sitting up on the top of the dugout, all excited into the game.
Yeah.
And I watched twice Bryce Harper just yawning his head off, and I'm thinking he's not engaged. And he said.
I couldn't disagree with you more, Merrill. The guy yawns a couple times during a 3-hour game that he's not playing in.
To one time that you get rid of stress when you're playing, but he's sitting there yawning his head off.
He's also fist pumping while Trey Turner hit it out of the park.
Merrill, thanks so much for the call.
Step.
Appreciate it, buddy.
That's our buddy Hodge, by the way.
Oh, it was. Oh, okay.
Yeah, just a heads up.
So last night that happens, they show Bryce Harper, and he does. He's got the eyes are kind of, and he's yawning, and my wife goes, "Oh my God!" She starts laughing. Donna's like, "Oh my God, wake up, Bryce!" And then they show him again. It's like the same thing, and she's like, "Wow, he's really bored in there." No, this team is engaged, and like Hodge,
Literally, he's like, yeah.
Well, what is it with the dude? I came in to this station long after that guy. Why does he do that? Why does he call with different names?
Different names, different numbers. He tries to trick the new producers.
But what's he tricking us in?
Also, and he goes with Merrill, and his name is Hodge.
Come
on, Merrill Hodge.
Hodge is pretty good, yeah.
That's pretty good. I have a little blue card that I keep, and I have like 5-6 different numbers that he's called on. Yeah.
Yeah. A guy yawning in a 3-hour game is hilarious to pick on.
Yeah. No, last time I started questioning what people do as far as stuff, we lost somebody. So I'm not going to question why Hodge thinks it's fun to have a whole bunch of different phone numbers and not give his right name. I'm not going to question that.
That's a good point.
Because, the other day...
You got an email about it.
I did. And I responded, and I didn't get a response back.
Well,
so
that's fine.
Let
it go.
It hit me right here a little bit.
You said your piece. He said his.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh.
I still feel kind of bad. But Pat in the Northeast, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on, Pat?
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Hey, I didn't think to ask if it was already said. I'm hoping it didn't, but my favorite was Terrell Owens, T.O.
It was not already said. What was your feelings when that happened, Pat?
It was amazing. I mean, I was in Miami Monday night. First play of the game, bomb. I don't remember much that was more fun than singing T.O. 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 I just loved it. It was a shame that it had to end the way it is, but that's Donovan's fault, not his.
That was, Amy and I were talking about it off air when we saw Terrell Owens on here. I believe we were on Daily News Live that night, and they interrupted the last part of the show.
I wasn't here yet.
Oh, you weren't here yet?
No.
I meant other we's, not me and you. No, I didn't. I did mean me and you.
What year was that, 2007?
It was
2004?
Yeah, because they went to the Super Bowl in 4. But, yeah, them interrupting the last. And, Pat, thanks. That's a great one. Thanks so much. Interrupting the show to go to the T.O. press conference. And it was one of those, oh, my God, they're finally getting Donovan McNabb, a real wide receiver.
It's so funny you say that. We had a trivia question. We do a Birds Huddle, and there's always a trivia question. And our producer was filling in, and so she was trying to find some other trivia questions. And these, younger, and so we're going through, and whatever the question was, I think I answered, and I gave like Todd Pinkston or James Thrash, and she's looking at me, never having heard these names muttered, but everybody else in the room is like, and they're yelling out. I'm like, you don't understand how slim the pickings were for Donovan McNabb. So slim, so terrible.
I would love to go back.
It was Kevin Curtis was the answer. What it was.
And they tried. Like there was a Chris T. Jones, remember him from Florida that they drafted? Like they tried with some of these, but then, they're throwing out with Todd Pinkston with those toothpick legs, and it's like, oh my God. I think it's talked about that Donovan McNabb wasn't liked more than he actually wasn't liked. Does that make you get what I'm
saying? Yeah, I think their last caller said
he was okay.
People are like, that's Donovan didn't get it done. Okay, but I mean, he got him there. I get it. I think history will be kinder on him.
Yeah, I think he was more liked at the time than people perceive now that his time is done.
Right.
But yeah, it still is one of those, my God, why couldn't you just get him decent wide receivers? Never understood it. Mitch in East Windsor, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Mitch?
Hello, fellas.
How you doing, buddy?
I could be Mitch Williams if you want me to call in.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time you can be Williams.
Okay. Hey, it's funny. With Owens and Barry Bonds, I never heard no retirement announcement. They just were not picked up or signed. But anyway, I think one of my favorites is somebody beating the heart up, Trey Turner.
Yeah.
All positions. Doesn't look fast, but he's pretty fast, and he's a pretty solid ball player.
Oh, great ball player. Thanks. I appreciate it, Mitch. When I remember watching Trey Turner when he was with the Nationals, and I forget the game in the instance or something. I might have been with my friend Rock, and we're watching the game, and my friend Rock, as I've described, all-state baseball player for 2 years, knows the sport really well, just kind of casually went, this kid's a stud. I'll never forget it. Yeah, and talking about Trey Turner. And, yeah, when they got him, it was like, wow, you're talking about one of the 3 best shortstops in baseball that they're adding to this team.
Watching him slide when he was with the Dodgers was like, I mean, come on.
And still, even the slide when he hurt his hamstring was just like, zoop.
I just don't understand.
It looks like a cartoon, doesn't
it? He should teach it. It looks like he's on ice. He should teach it.
He
you want
should
to learn
teach
how
it.
to slide? Watch Trey Turner. Let's bring Trey Turner in here.
Yeah.
I watch like young kids try to slide. Yeah.
And even his slide the other night, he scored from second, and it was like, oh, he should have beaten that throw by a lot more. And it was the one where he slid and just touched the plate with his hand. Like, that's all you have to do. He should. He should put on a clinic, not only for his teammates, but I would have every kid from 16 and under come on into the ballpark. I'm going to show you how to slide. Now, I don't think he's opened it up yet, Aim.
No.
I don't think Trey Turner feels
No, I think
100%.
You mean like the hamstring? Yeah,
yes.
Agreed.
Really?
And I think I think it was. I don't think it was yesterday, but it was maybe sometime in the last couple of games that I think Rob Thompson kind of mentioned something about that he feels like he's just still when he's running a base pass or threatening to maybe steal or something. There's not a hesitation, but there's still like, well, maybe let's not push it. Because why even bother? So I think that there's still a chance that he's like, all right, I still have something left. Like I have another gear, and I haven't really pushed it just yet. Not that he thinks he can't, but it's like I don't need to right now. So that's what I think of. Yeah.
That's why I thought it was pretty cool to watch Bryce Harper in the outfield last night at Wrigley Field. I'm not saying that was full throttle, but it looked kind of close.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked kind of close out there. And there was somebody that was out in Wrigley Field last night. Watching the Phillies game, and it's that guy that usually sits in the seat where Tom Alvord is so greatly sitting in today, and that's our own Ray Dunn is on the line. Raymond, how are you, buddy?
I am doing fantastic, Bob and Amy. How are the two of you doing?
We're great.
We're great. So tell us about your day yesterday. You scuttled out of here as quickly as you could. Let us know how it all played out until you were sitting in your seat at Wrigley Field last night.
So, yeah, I got out of there, I guess, at the 1:20-ish break, so I was hustling on down in the airport security line by 2:10, I think it was. So I was feeling great about myself. Very long line. Did not appreciate that. Definitely going to get TSA pre-check after that line. But got through that, was able to go get the airport beer, which was massive for the day's events. Got myself on the flight, and we got there a half hour earlier than we were scheduled to. So at that point, I'm thinking first pitch could be a possibility. Unfortunately, my rideshare driver did not share the same urgency I did in terms of getting to where I needed to go. And what was supposed to be like a 45-minute ride turned into like an hour and 15. Not bitter about it. Not at all bitter about it. You know, you drive safe, I guess. Drive incredibly slow, and you could have driven faster. But whatever, it's cool. I'm not bitter about it at all. Dropped my stuff quickly at the Airbnb. Ran like I was full high school cross-country mode to get down to the subway stop. It was a half a mile away. That's the fastest half mile I think I've run in like 6 years. Get on the subway, and, it was nice. The red line here, it reminded me like the way it's set up of the L, a little bit cleaner. And then got taken up to the Addison stop there, quickly hustled in. I was in there. I think by the second inning, I was in line for a cold beverage when Stubbs hit the double. So walked up, sat in the bleachers, and then enjoyed the Trey Turner home run. The first one was like 10 rows in front of me. So,
okay, because I was looking for you on that one. I replayed it about 4 or 5 times, and I couldn't find you.
Yeah, it's all right. I was in a sea of blue out there. There was a lot of Phillies fans first base side, but out in the bleachers, I was surrounded. I had some people that had some choice words for me and my Philadelphia fandom.
Wow. So tell us about the crowd, because the TV was showing an awful lot of Phillies fans, and obviously they brought it up on the broadcast. What was it? Did it look like more? Or, I'm sorry, we just got invaded by Ricky Battalica.
That's not on.
Was there a good amount of Phillies fans?
Oh, yeah. There was a lot there. Especially, again, first base side, right behind the Phillies dugout. It gave me flashbacks to Baltimore a couple weeks ago when I looked behind the dugout, because I was like, oh, the way the dugout was in Baltimore, whereas the third base, all the third base side was pretty much Phillies fans. That was basically what it looked like when I was looking out from the bleachers onto the first base side. So many Phillies fans. And you could hear the reaction when something good happens to the Phillies. Like, oh, yeah, there's a lot of us that made it out here.
So yesterday, before your departure, there was some, funny stuff happening here in the studio. And apparently somebody got into your computer and put out a tweet, all of that. You decided to blame someone who was not to be blamed. And that person has some words for you right now.
That was weak, pal. That was weak. Those are fighting words. No, fighting words. And I was actually happy you were late getting to Wrigley yesterday. I was probably one of the only few. I saw your tweet. Are you trying to get people to feel sorry for you for being late? You know what? The baseball gods knew. That's why.
Was I trying to get people to feel bad for me?
No, but why do you come at me? I didn't do anything wrong.
Now, Ricky, I want to apologize for coming at you.
There you go.
Obviously, that was wrong on that
I wanted a public apology, none of that Twitter apology stuff.
Yeah, sure. Public online, public over the air.
No, right here.
Yeah, I got you. I said it, and I'm going to continue with why I went down that path. I was so annoyed because, of course, the Ben Simmons thing. That's a terrible thing to ever have associated with my name. I would not want Ben Simmons back on my basketball team. So I was so upset that someone would put that out there with my name. I lacked critical thinking skills in that moment.
Well, that number one, you brought up a point that had nothing to do with me. So go ahead. What's your next point?
But my critical thinking skills on that one, I was thinking, where could my Twitter have been logged in? And where I usually do my prep work is where you usually sit when you're in studio with the best show ever. So then I was like, oh, Ricky must be out there. They saw my account was logged in. Somebody pushed him into doing it. Now, I didn't think Ricky might not be there today. That didn't cross my mind. So immediately, I went and had Twitter fingers before I really could think.
But
and that's
I will tell you this much. You could ask anybody in this whole office. Have I ever gone into anybody's computer here?
Not that I know of, no. Ray is totally at fault here.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave you be
he
now.
Apologized, so that's a good thing. Dylan's hovering again. Dylan wants to even get at you, even though you're a few hundred miles away for some reason. He's got it in for you. But Ray, before we let you go, you're going to tomorrow's game?
Yeah. So tonight we're doing the Union and Chicago Fire, and then tomorrow we're doing Cubs Phillies.
All right. Where are you sitting tomorrow, Cubs Phillies?
That is a fantastic question that I cannot answer at this moment.
Because we want to be on the lookout for you as we're watching the game tomorrow. We want to see, because you got to make sure you're wearing. Now, tomorrow's garb will be what as far as Phillies go?
We're going with the red pinstripes McCutcheon jersey.
Okay, what was it last night?
Last night, it was the same shirt I was wearing when I was with you. That,
the Phillies T-shirt,
green color with
Okay,
yeah,
well,
so
listen.
I didn't have time to really change. I was running around. I mean, if you see someone walking around in a Wawa shirt today around Chicago, feel free to say hello. Anyone that might be listening that's in the Chicago area.
All right. Well, listen, we hope you have a great time. As you know, I always say to you, be safe, be smart, look out for each other, and we will see you whenever you get back and go on your next vacation.
Yeah, see you Monday.
See you guys.
All right. The terrific Ray Dunn joining us here from Chicago. I was like jealous. Our old friend Jamie Lynch. He was also at the game last night. They sent me a picture last night, late, so I didn't see it until this morning. And it's of Ray and Jamie at a bar. And, saying hi to me. Ray's got a big smile on his face. They both have a beer in their hand. Guess what Jamie was doing with his other hand?
Oh, no.
Give me the finger.
Yeah.
Like he thought it was funny. Yeah, violation. I'll talk to him when we're done.
Childish.
I know.
Childish.
Yeah. Churlish, some may say.
And insolent. You were talking about the Key and Peele.
Yes. What was it?
Churlish and insubordinate?
I thought it was insubordinate.
Yeah, we'll have to look it up. That is a great skit.
I can watch that at any time, and it'll make me
every time.
Every time.
Principal O'Shaughnessy.
Now you done wrong. Anyway, we're not going to sit here and repeat the whole thing. But on the heels of what, and we have some text that we're going to get to in a little bit, on the heels of Paul George coming here and deemed a great pickup by the 76ers. Some people have some questions about it, but I would think in general it's deemed as a great pickup, a great acquisition. Now comes the fun part. How does he fit in with Joel Embiid? What other pieces do you get with a Tyrese Maxey, a Joel Embiid, a Paul George? Jimmy Lynam was on our airwaves yesterday and laughed. That's one of the most simple things you're going to do is fit in pieces with these two guys. Great. That made me feel real good. I am still anxious to see who it's going to be because you need more. You do need some more because you got to plug in some guys. We'll see how it all plays out. But on the heels of that, we're asking you, and we want you to respond at 610-632-0975. What was one of the acquisitions in your lifetime that really excited you? Now, maybe it worked out. Maybe it didn't work out. I don't know if this Paul George thing is going to work out or not because they've gotten a lot of acquisitions to go along with Joel Embiid, and none of them has worked to the point of championship, which is the ultimate goal. Could this be it? Maybe. And maybe you have some deeper thoughts on that about this acquisition of Paul George. We'd love to hear it. And your favorite acquisition, 610-632-0975. Amy Fadul's with us today. Bob Cooney here, middays, 97.5 The Fanatic.